It's the silence that speaks the loudest. You've been through it. The conversations, the inevitable confrontation, the tearful goodbyes. And yet, after the storm passes, they just disappear. No anger, no pleading, no begging for one more chance. They don't scream, they don't fight, they don't try to make you feel guilty. They simply shut down. They may not even shed a tear. And somehow, that hurts more than any shouting match ever could. What is this? How could someone, after everything, not feel the need to react? To express that pain? That raw emotion that's supposed to surface when love is lost? There's something unsettling about their stillness. It's as if they've already made peace with the inevitable. But that's not it, is it? It's not peace. Not really. It's something much darker. Something deeper. They've numbed themselves. Or perhaps they've learned to shut down. But the question that lingers, the question that hangs in the air, is why? Why do some people choose to stay silent when the heartache should be tearing them apart? Why do they retreat inwardly when everyone else is reaching outward for comfort? The answer is far from simple. It's wrapped up in their history, their emotional armor, and the way they've learned to navigate relationships. These people aren't emotionless. They're survivors. Survivors of years of disappointment, of rejection, of emotional abandonment. They've been hurt before, and over time, they've built walls so high that even the sharpest of pains can't break through. It's not that they don't feel. It's that they've learned to push those feelings down, bury them in the depths of their psyche, where no one can see them. But here's the thing. This quietness isn't the absence of emotion. It's a form of protection. A psychological defense mechanism that says, if I don't react, I won't be hurt. But the more they do it, the harder it becomes to ever feel again. This is the psychology of people who don't react after a breakup. It's not about them not caring. It's about them caring too much, too deeply, and protecting themselves from what feels like an inevitable collapse. The silence is just the beginning. But what happens when you stop feeling anything at all? Emotional numbness isn't a sudden choice. It's a gradual descent, an internal shift. Over time, we learn to protect ourselves from the pain of love and loss. What if, at some point, you realized that feeling meant more pain? You stop showing up. You stop expressing. Because every time you open yourself, your heart gets crushed, discarded, and ignored. You start to believe that vulnerability invites nothing but suffering. And so, you build a wall. For those who don't react, it's not a random behavior. It's a learned survival strategy. Numbness becomes an armor they've worn so long, it's now part of them. The pain of raw emotion is too much to bear, so they lock it away. Silence becomes safer. It becomes a protective shield against the chaos of heartache. They no longer have the luxury of feeling. It's simply too risky. Not after all the heartbreak, the disappointment, the unmet needs. But the truth is, behind that stillness, there's more. The fear doesn't just lie in losing the person. They fear losing themselves. When everything they thought they knew about love and their own worth is stripped away, they face the void. If they react, if they let the emotions come, they risk unraveling, dissolving into the very chaos they've worked so hard to avoid. So, they remain detached. No tears, no screams, just silence, empty and cold, keeping them safe from drowning. But this silence isn't just a mask, it's a shield against their deepest fears. They've learned that reacting means risking everything, including their sense of self. They push emotions down, thinking they can control the floodgates. But with every shutout, the weight of that control grows heavier. And as they suppress, they begin to feel less and less. The very emotions they once protected now feel far away, like something foreign. Detached from the world, detached from themselves. It's not absence, it's the quietest form of survival. But does survival mean living? From childhood, we often learn that expressing emotion can be dangerous. Maybe it was a parent who didn't understand, or a friend who left when you needed them most. In those early years, we pick up on subtle cues, the silence, the avoidance of vulnerability, and we internalize them. We begin to believe that our feelings are too much for others to bear. We start to bury them, out of sight, in the deepest corners of our mind. And over time, this buried pain becomes a survival mechanism. It's easier to close off than to face the sharp sting of abandonment again. As these people grow, they perfect the art of emotional withdrawal. They learn to smile in the face of devastation, to nod and say everything's fine, while inside they're crumbling. The belief that they must remain strong, that they cannot afford to let others see their vulnerability, becomes a constant mantra. But there is a cost. Over time, they lose the ability to truly connect, to let someone else in. Their emotional defenses have been so perfected that even love can't penetrate them. It's not that they don't want a connection, it's that the risk of opening up feels far greater than the reward. They've been hurt too many times to ever think love can be real, that intimacy can be safe. So, they retreat. They hide behind the walls they've built, the walls that were once a shield, but have now become a prison. This isn't a conscious choice, but a pattern that began long before the breakup, long before the heartache. It's a protective mechanism they learned from years of emotional neglect and disappointment. But eventually, even these walls start to close in. When you isolate yourself to protect your heart, you also isolate yourself from everything else. The warmth of connection, the joy of truly being seen, the solace that comes from shared vulnerability. All of it starts to fade, and you're left alone in the fortress you've created. The silence that once felt like a refuge now feels more like a trap. Here's the truth. Silence is not peace. It's a facade. It's a temporary defense against the overwhelming tide of emotion, a defense that eventually becomes unsustainable. Healing begins when you allow yourself to feel. It's painful. It's terrifying. But it's the only way forward. True strength isn't found in isolation. It's found in vulnerability. The silence might have kept you safe for a while, but it has also kept you from truly living. It's time to let go of the walls, to break the silence, and to allow yourself to react. It won't happen overnight. The road to healing is long, and the first step is the hardest. But once you begin to open up again, once you begin to feel again, you'll realize something profound. The vulnerability you feared was never your enemy. It was the very thing that could reconnect you to your own heart, to your own humanity. And in that moment, you'll know that this is where your true strength lies, in allowing yourself to break, to feel, to heal. If this resonated with you, if you find yourself in that silence, remember, you don't have to stay there. Healing begins when you choose to feel again. Life is not meant to be lived in a cage. Allow yourself to break free.